Hey everyone, I'm RRabbits, welcome back to my channel and welcome to another Monster Legends video. Today we're going to be talking about the Eldrich's Abomination Maze Island. Now if you're new to my channel, new to Monster Legends, or new to the Maze Island, unlike past videos where I do a really long explanation on how this event works, I'm not going to spend too much time on it. I am going to spend a little time, but the primary purpose of this video is just to go over the monsters, to find out if they're good or not so good. I haven't looked at them, it's going to be my first time looking at them, and it's sort of going to be like a mini analysis of the events and the monsters. And if you want a really in-depth explanation on how the event actually works, then don't worry, I got you covered. There's going to be a link in the description to the past explanation video I made for the previous Maze Island. And don't worry, if you know one Maze Island, you pretty much know them all, because the only thing that really changes during each event are the rewards. As far as for the event itself, how to actually get coins, how to get monsters, all of that is pretty much the same. And by the way, everything I'm going to be talking about, all the information in this video is from monsterwiki.com, and there's also going to be a link in the description if you want to follow along. So the first available monster is Sludger. He's a rare monster, he's been in so many events, both Progressive Islands and Maze Islands, so by now you should probably have a really high ranked up Sludger. The second monster is Postar. He's new, he's an epic monster. After that is Invidia. This was in a past event, also an epic monster. Let me just say right now, he's really not that great. And the fourth pathway is Ophiuchus. He was in a previous event, and let me just tell you, this is one of the most amazing epics. You definitely want to get him. I'm actually not going to spend time analyzing this monster, just know that he has a 2-turn possession, and that makes him incredible, so you definitely want to pick him up. And as for the legendary monsters, we have Yilitre, we have Faugnar, Krugbo, and Jasastur. So 3 dark monsters, the 6, 7, and 8, those are dark monsters. Yilitre, or however you pronounce the name, that's a nature legendary monster. And it's kind of odd because we normally see another legendary monster within the first 4 pathways, but this time it's 3 epics and a rare. And also there's the possibility for a secret monster, and I remembered from Taringa that it was hinted that it's going to be Pigridu, so I don't know if that changed or if that's not going to happen, so just keep in mind there is that possibility of a secret pathway. And here's just a complete overview of the event without all of the clouds, so you can see the monster, you can see the nodes, you can see when you get food, maze coins, cells, when you get all of the keys. So use this to your advantage. You can see literally the whole entire pathway without any clouds obstructing your view, so you can calculate how much it's going to cost you to get any monster you want. And down here is the summary of the whole Maze Island. As you can see, the first pathway is Sludger. He costs 470 coins to actually get. Postar is next, 2,250 coins. And then pathway number 3 is Invidia. He costs 3,745 coins to get. And you should also pay attention to this. This is a requirement to actually move the monster. So as you can see, for the first 3, they don't require any keys. But if you want to move Ophiuchus, he requires 3 keys, which you probably get from pathway 1, 2, and 3. So Ophiuchus is not going to cost just 4,990. Like, I mean, yes, once you start moving Ophiuchus, he only costs that much. But in order to actually unlock this monster, in order to actually start moving him, you're most likely going to have to move the previous 3 monsters. You're not going to have to move them all the way though. You're just going to have to move them up until you get that 4th key, which for Sludger is right away. For Postar, that's the 2nd key in his pathway. And for Invidia, that's the 2nd key in his pathway too. And if you're curious, the whole entire event costs 51,330 maze coins, which let me just tell you right now, I am pretty sure that's impossible. It's impossible to complete all 8 pathways, so you pretty much have to choose which monster you want. And most of the time, it's impossible to get the 8th monster. I'm not sure if it's the case this time. In previous events, it's been you either get like pathways 1 through 7, or you ignore all of those pathways and just get the 8 monsters. However, in recent events, it seems like you can't even get the 8th monster even if you ignore the other ones, because it's just not possible to get all of those coins. So it may or may not be the same one for this event. However, I personally think that's fine because most of the time, the monsters in pathway 7 and 8 anyways, they go on sale later on for like 249 gems. Sometimes they even put them up in an offer. Sometimes Monsterwood will even give you cells for them so you can just request from your teammates. So I would honestly say just right off the bat, don't even worry about the 8th monster. You can go for him. If you can though, I would recommend you save all of your coins until the very end and then calculate whether or not you can get him. There's no point in wasting your coins for a monster if you absolutely cannot get him. It's better to get other monsters instead. Anyways, because I said I'd mention it briefly, for those of you that are new to the event, there's only 6 ways to actually get maze coins, besides buying them. You can get maze coins by collecting gold, collecting food, breeding monsters, feeding your monsters, hatching eggs, and fighting in player versus player. And you'll notice that all of these different tasks, they all have a 4-hour spawn time, which means if you collect all of your coins right now, this very moment, let's say you're playing the game and listening to me talk, if you collect all of your coins that you can possibly collect, then it's very simple because all you need to do is not play the game for 4 hours, come back in 4 hours, log in, and you can collect all of your coins again. And if you're wondering just how many coins you can collect, well, from collecting gold you can get up to 30, from collecting food you can get up to 50, breeding monsters 50, and so on. So the reason I don't want to spend too much time explaining how to get maze coins is because it's very simple. Just log in every 4 hours and do all of your tasks. For collecting gold, you can literally spam collect on a single habitat and you'll get your 30 coins eventually. For collecting food, I like to plant blue lizard's tail on all of my habitats and click collect until I get all of my 50 maze coins. If I plant blue lizard's tail on all of my farms and only get like 26 maze coins, then I just click repeat and I do it all over again. For the action that requires breeding a monster and hatching an egg, that one is also very simple because all you need to do is breed Thunder Eagle. Thunder Eagle takes exactly 4 hours to breed. You can breed them by breeding 2 legendaries that are Thunder, or by breeding a Thunder Eagle with another Thunder Eagle, or by breeding a legendary Thunder monster with a Thunder Eagle. And by breeding Thunder Eagle, that's also a really simple way to keep track of when was the last time you logged in. Because if you do all of your tasks, and then you breed a Thunder Eagle, and then you log in later into the game, but you see that your breeding still has 1 hour left, that means the last time you logged in was 3 hours ago. And then of course you just hatch that Thunder Eagle and you get your 50 maze coins for the hatching action. For the feed your monsters, this is really simple. I recommend feeding monsters you really want to level up, or that you feed that Thunder Eagle, maybe feed them to like level 5 and sell them, then feed the monster you really want. You could also breed a nature and a fire monster and try to get a pandakin or a Grunosaur. They take 30 seconds to breed, and then you can just feed them to level 5 and sell them and repeat until you get your 30 maze coins. This also works with the hatched eggs. If you ever find that that Thunder Eagle doesn't give you your 50 coins, well, you can just try to breed a pandakin or a Grunosaur and it'll get you your coins. And fighting PvP is very simple, just wait till you have a PvP battle, and the important thing is that you have to win that battle. Just playing PvP won't give you your coins, you have to win. And I also highly recommend that you watch this video. This is actually my very own video that Wiki put on their website, which is really cool. But yeah, it's basically tips and tricks on how to get coins. It's everything I explained but in video form. So sometimes it's better just to see it for yourself as opposed to hearing someone explain it. And the last thing I want to say before we jump into the mini analysis is happy hours. The only time you realistically want to move is during happy hours, because during happy hours you're going to save 10%. Who doesn't love to save coins? And who knows, maybe because you save that 10%, that's going to give you enough coins to be able to get another monster. So make sure you keep a track on the dates, make sure you know when happy hour is. I should mention that the times shown are in UTC time, which is universal time, so you need to convert it to your own local time. If you don't know how to do that, don't worry, I got you covered yet again. There's going to be a link in the description to the time converter. All you have to do is enter the time in UTC time, and then just put your location and it'll convert the time for you, so you'll know when you can log in. And so anyways, let's move on to the mini analysis. I'm not even going to bother talking about Sludger, Invader, or Fucus because they're old monsters. I only want to talk about the new monsters. And also let me just say right off the bat, this isn't going to be an in-depth or anything, because it's still possible some stuff may change. From what I quickly saw, some monster stats don't look right, some skills may not look right, so I don't want to make any definite claims. This is just going to be like my initial reaction to the monsters and to the events. And so starting things off with Postar, he has a power of a 2860. This is a pretty high power. For epic monsters, the stat itself is actually the 7th highest. I'm not saying he's in 7th place, but the stat itself is the 7th highest for epic monster. As for his life of 21280, this is actually the 10th highest life stat for epic monsters. So pretty good power, pretty good life. And then taking a look at his speed, 2930, this is the 9th highest stat. So starting off, he has some really great stats. And as for his trait, he's the very first epic monster to have Abomination. Now this is weird because I initially thought that Abomination was only going to be for Jasastur, the last monster of the event. I had no idea they were going to give it to every monster, but apparently this seems to be the case. Again, I don't know if this is accurate, I don't know if it's going to change, but if he does have Abomination, that means he's immune to Possession, Nightmares, and Bleeding. And what can I say other than this is really great? Not only do we finally have a monster immune to Bleeding, he's also immune to a common deny skill, Possession. His ultimate skill is quite amazing, 65 damage, dark base damage, 120 accuracy. It deals very heavy dark damage to all of the enemies and it gains 1 extra turn per hit. So if you happen to get this skill on your very first turn, you're going to get 3 extra turns after you use your ultimate. That's phenomenal. I forgot to mention this epic monster is both magic and dark, but you can probably tell from the skills. Anyways, he has an AoE magic attack, it's 35 damage, surprisingly it only has a 1 turn cooldown, and it's an AoE poison. That's a pretty good skill to weaken the enemy, reduce their damage output, reduce their life. Let's see, we have Creeping Fear, Postar Curse. Deals moderate dark damage, may make target very weak against dark and magic attacks. Oh, very nice, you can use this monster to set up, and this skill also works with all of his other skills, so very weak to dark and magic, that's awesome. However, this skill only targets a single enemy, let's hope he has an AoE. Bloodthirst, it's an AoE bleeding, 40 damage, this is really great too. AoE bleeding and AoE poison, that's nice. Extra dimensional poison, 65 damage, magic based attack that applies poison. This is really powerful, this monster appears to be an attacker. And lastly, we have Dreams of Postar, which is just dark base, 50 damage and gives nightmares. And so I think it goes without saying, if you get this monster, run extra dimensional poison, bloodthirst, rotten claws, and Postar Curse. Those are his best skills. And this monster is more of an attacker, so you would probably want to give him 2 strength runes and a speed rune. However, because he's an epic monster, most of the time you don't really need your epic monster to be the attacker. So you could always give him the 3 team speed, you can give him 1 team speed and 2 strength runes, or maybe you can give him 1 speed, 1 team speed, and something else just to set up for your other dark monster, your magic monster. it's really hard to give runes for epic monsters because it completely depends on your playing style. For example, if it's an epic war, then you do want this monster as an attacker and you do want to give him 2 strings and a speed. But other than that, again, he's the epic monster. Typically, when you're going up against legendaries, the epic monster is just there to give team speed to help your other legendary monsters attack before the enemy monsters. But overall, I will say that I do like this monster. He's pretty good. And also, I should probably mention that he is going to be used in a breeding event, so you might want to pick him up as soon as possible if you want to have a chance to beat a monster. And next up we have Yilitre, a nature legendary monster. To me it looks like it can be dark, but I guess you're going with nature just because it's green. Power 3355, not too high. Life 3046-1, this is actually quite tanky. And speed 3476, this is the fastest speed for nature monsters, actually tied with Sarah and Lamu. So those 2 monsters now have to share the spotlight for the top speed with this creepy looking alien monster. And once again, the trait is Abomination. Like I mentioned previously, I thought this was only for Jasastur, but I guess not. Immunity to Possession, Nightmares and Bleeding, that's pretty good. Especially because this can counter Lamu, who has a skill that can apply Possession, and Lamu also has a skill that can give negative effects. So immunity to Nightmares and Bleeding, that really comes in handy. As for the ultimate skill, we have I Win. It's a nature based attack that deals 70 damage to all of the enemy monsters, and it's also an AoE Blind and an AoE Plague. Plague makes it so healing effects hurt the enemy. This is really good for the nature elements. 50% blind, he can remove his own debuffs and give himself energy regeneration. He can apply 1 random negative effect to all of the enemies, deals no damage, costs 26 stamina, only has a 1 turn cooldown. He has an ally skill that can remove any debuff, give it nightmare immunity and possession immunity, and this possession immunity will actually work against monsters like Hackster and Glitch, so that's pretty good. A single target skill that applies Plague, really good against a nature monster. I See Your Destiny removes low nature damage to all enemies, removes all positive status effects from all targets, gives weakness to dark attacks. So for some reason we have this nature monster that makes the enemy weak to dark attacks. So this can be really good if you have a dark monster on your team. I Am So Shiny deals moderate special damage to all enemies, may blind all targets. We have a special based AoE with a 1 turn cooldown, that's an AoE blind. I really like this skill. And we have I Will Find You, it's a single stun. Mirror of the Soul applies 1 random negative effect to target, removes all negative status effects from allies. So negative effects to the enemy and remove all debuffs from your team. Pretty good, pretty good. I like this monster. I like the AoE blind. I like the single stun. I like that it can set up for a dark monster. Overall, I do like this monster. I don't think it's anything too amazing. I mean, when you compare this monster to Sarah, who has single stun skills, this monster also has single stun, immunity to possession. Yeah, overall, I like this monster. AoE blind, that's really gonna help. Definitely not a bad monster at all. Anyhow, next up is Faugnar. Power 2926, life 23, 22, 3, and speed 3080. Let me just say right now, these are probably not the real stats. These stats appear to be that of an epic monster or a really terrible legendary monster. I'm telling you right now, there's no way these are the actual stats. Trait like the other monsters is Abomination. His ultimate attack removes 100% of stamina from all targets, heals by 100%, recovers 100% stamina. It's like a complete reset with this monster. He heals himself by 100%, he gets all of his stamina back, and he removes all of the energy from the enemy monsters. And so this is a really amazing skill. The only thing you would have to watch out for is for the enemy's ultimates. Now thankfully you have full life and full stamina, so you're going to be able to react. Let's see, 50% chance to blind, damage reduction, a self skill that gives you energy and life regeneration, and evasion. This is awesome. Evasion, if you guys don't know, it's like space-time combined with artifact, because not only can you not take any damage, also effects can't land on you. That means you can't get stunned, you can't get possessed, you can't get hacked, you can't get anything. No DLTs can land, you can't get blinded, you can't get dazed. Evasion is amazing. And what's even more cool is that you gave yourself stamina and life regeneration, meaning that you're guaranteed to survive until the next turn, and on that very next turn, you're going to recover your life by 20%, and you're also going to recover your stamina by 30%. And let's move on. 60 damage, no cooldown, also applies damage reduction, 55 damage, blind and remove good effects, also no cooldown. He would have a skill 50 damage, special base, dazes, and it gives you evasion yet again. Wow, so this is another monster that has evasion skills. Let's see what else he has. He has a 45 dark based AoE that also gives damage reduction, thick fog, 40 damage blind. I love AoE blind. That really reduces the likelihood of the enemy landing a hit. And it's only on a 1 turn cooldown. His 45 AoE is on a 2 turn cooldown and applies damage reduction. So you can blind, you can damage reduction. Honestly, these two skills, that's 85 damage. That is really powerful. And as for his last skill, it's a special based AoE that applies daze and evasion. I love the fact that this monster can AoE daze. follow with AoE blind, the likelihood of the enemy landing a hit on you is incredibly diminished. Like, they are most likely going to be missing all of their attacks for the duration they have daze and blind. And the fact that you can apply daze, give yourself evasion, daze lasts for 3 turns, you can't be hit, you can't be immobilized, on the next turn you can guarantee that blind. Well, I mean, you can't guarantee it because it's 90% accuracy, but like, that is awesome. Wow, I'm really liking this monster too. Honestly, right now I haven't seen a single bad monster, with the exception of Nvidia, but forget him. Like, the monsters in this event so far are really darn good. The only bad thing about this monster is we don't know his actual stats, but I'm pretty sure if you check Wiki in a few days, you're gonna know his actual stats. And I mean, come on, the maze actually takes some time to actually get coins, so don't worry that you can't see his stats right now. Just relax, just chill, come back to Wiki in a few days, and then we'll be able to decide whether he's good or not so good. But just based on the skills alone, I am really liking him. And anyhow, Krugbo's next, power 3575. This is the highest power for Dark Legendary monsters. It's actually tied with Balthazar, the Team Race monster. His life is also pretty good at 29,556, and his speed is also pretty good at 3421. His trait appears to be Abomination. His ultimate attack, Teeth Storm, dark based AoE, 75 damage, applies nightmares and bleeding. I mean, it's a pretty straightforward ultimate. It's high damage, 75, combined with this monster's power, and it even on top of that gives nightmares and bleeding. That's pretty darn good, but at the same time nothing too amazing. Skills group 1, we have 45 damage, we have 40 damage nightmares, we have a possession skill. We have a possession skill in skills group 1, that's interesting. So let's see what else he has. Sanity check, 30 damage special based AoE that applies nightmares, that could be pretty good. Unstoppable ritual, he can give himself immunity to freeze. It's also 60 damage with 3 turn cooldown. Honestly, just the fact that it's 60 damage and he can give himself a freeze immunity, this is awesome because one of the dark monsters that can freeze is Krampus. He's a common monster on defense, so if you have another monster that can immobilize Krampus on turn 1, and then when it's Krugbo's turn, if he can take out the enemy attacker using Unstoppable Ritual, because most likely the enemy attacker won't be dark based, you give yourself a freeze immunity, so this could really work out in your favor. Eldrich stamina gains 100% of stamina and an extra turn, so an immediate extra turn and full stamina. I think originally on Taringa it said you'd also get double damage. I don't think that's the case anymore. I don't think they're going to include that. It's even called Eldrich stamina, not Eldrich stamina and damage boost, because honestly, if this monster was to get double damage, then sanity check and Eldrich stamina would be an insane combo. This would be a 60 special based AoE that would also apply nightmares, or Unstoppable Ritual would be a 120 dark based attack. So I don't see them doing that. If they were to actually do that, this monster would be like the new Barbatos, which I don't see that happening. Especially because I just came across this skill, Outer Impact, 80 damage. Deals insane special damage, 80 damage. That is going to one hit any monster, even without the best of runes. This monster has the highest power for dark monsters. Honestly, one of the highest powers in the whole entire game. And an 80 damage skill, that is insanely strong. It probably does like over 11k without any runes. That is crazy. And take a look at this, a 45 damage AoE that applies nightmares. Sure, it's dark based, but it's 45 damage. And lastly, Eldritch Possession. It's a 2-turn possession skill. The drawback to this skill is that it deals no damage. A huge drawback because keep in mind this monster is powerful. This monster you're probably going to be running 2 strength runes, maybe 1 high level strength rune and 2 team speed, or 2 speed I mean. So it sucks that this skill deals no damage, but at least it does as the enemy for 2 turns. And even though it does deal no damage, I would probably still recommend it just because you never know when it can come in handy. You basically have the enemy monster on your side for 2 full turns. Wow, this monster is insane. I really like them. Oh my gosh, all the monsters are insane. Let's just look at the last monster already, Jasastur. Power 3245, that's rather meh. Life 31366. Wow, that is high. That is the 4th highest life stat for dark monsters. So we have ourselves a tanky monster, and this tank has an incredible speed, 3531. Move over Krampus, that is Krampus's speed. So it appears that Krampus is no longer top dog. We have another monster who's top dog, or tied for top dog. And quite actually, 3531 isn't the highest speed for dark monsters. The highest speed actually belongs to Javelin and Losty Ghost, who have a speed of 3542. However, they don't really have AoE deny skills. Losty Ghost, to my best of my knowledge, doesn't have any immobilizing skills. Javelin, he can however stun. So a great counter to Krampus is to run a Javelin without speed, and at least Javelin can single stun enemy Krampus, preventing him from immobilizing you. Jasastur also has Abomination, so he's also definitely prone to being stunned. As for his ultimate skill, Star Stalker, 65 damage dark based AoE, gives AoE bleeding and AoE stun. This is phenomenal. 40 damage drains stamina, single possession of 50% chance to possess, not so good. Complex Beam applies stamina leak, nothing too interesting. Let's look at skill group 2. Removes 50% of stamina. This may be a skill worth running. Let's look at his other skills. Single possession, definitely worth using. Faceless Beam, another single possession. Oh, an AoE possession skill, move over Krampus. Do you guys realize that Jasastur will now be able to possess the enemy Krampus along with his teammates, and then Krampus may do an AoE freeze, maybe he'll do one of the skills that applies burning or poison and a random effect. Oh my gosh, Jasastur, that is phenomenal. So just looking at skills group 2, he can AoE possess, he can single possess, and he can drain 50% of stamina. What is installed in skills group 3? The Crawling Chaos. Multiple enemies removes 50% of stamina from targets, applies stamina leak. What the heck? Okay, check it out. If you do AoE possess, the enemy is gonna waste stamina doing one of their attacks, right? On the next turn of use the Crawling Chaos, that's going to drain 50% of stamina, followed by stamina leak, which will take away 15%. Most likely they're not going to have any stamina to do any attack, because during that turn they were possessed, they used up stamina to attack their own teammates, and then they lose 50 stamina, and then stamina leak takes away 15%. That is full immobilizing with this monster. That is crazy. Elm Avenue, 65 damage. He doesn't need 65 damage special base. It's a powerful attack. He's not an attacker though. He doesn't really need this. And so last up is an AoE, 35 damage. Apply stamina leak and nightmares. You don't really need the nightmares. You don't really need the stamina leak because Crawling Chaos has it. And so maybe it will be worth using Elm Avenue. Actually, no. What am I saying? Thousand Forms, Faceless Being, Crawling Chaos, Teethical, or maybe even Cosmic Food becomes usable because Faceless Being, Crawling Chaos, oh my gosh, like this monster is insanely good. I can see why he's last. Yeah, Jasastur is the last one. Again, you probably won't be able to get him, and even if you could, I don't know if he's definitely good. Like, don't get me, oh my god, I don't know what I'm saying right now. He's a really good monster. Jasastur is incredible. Is he as good as not getting the other monsters? I'd probably say no. I'd say quantity over quality, because the previous monsters I talked about, they're also pretty good in their own right. So Jasastur is amazing. The other monsters are pretty good, but you get more of them. If you had to pick between getting the past 7 monsters, or even the past 6 monsters, or getting Jasastur, I'd go with the other 6. Keep in mind, even if you don't get him with the maze ends, that doesn't matter. They're probably going to sell him for 249 gems. I imagine a lot of people are going to buy this monster. He's going to be a really great purchase. And I also think I saw in Saringa that they're going to give cells away for this monster after the event ends. So there's definitely going to be multiple ways to get him. What a truly incredible monster. Oh my gosh. This whole event is honestly so awesome. Even the past event, the Progressive Island, that was awesome. So Social Point is really stepping up with their events, because so far we've had a great Progressive Island and a great maze. The 72-hour challenge, however, that was pretty bad, so I guess this makes up for it. But wow, just wow. And so anyways, now I'm going to give you guys which monsters I think are worth, and in what order. First of all, you should really get the monster you want. Regardless of what I say, just go for the monster you want the most. But with that being said, this is going to be my order of importance, based on how good the monster is and how much it actually costs to get the monster. First up is Ophiuchus. I think this monster is the best value out of all of the monsters in this event. Based on how many coins it costs to actually get this monster, and based on how great this monster is, he's definitely the best value. Next up, I would actually recommend Krugbo. This monster is going to be a really great powerful dark attacker. You definitely want to make sure to have him on your team. Next up, I would recommend everyone go for Yilitre, just because it only costs 5,625 maze coins. This is honestly very little for a legendary monster. It's honestly probably cheaper than Ophiuchus, because keep in mind, you actually need keys to be able to move Ophiuchus. So Ophiuchus is probably going to cost you over 5,500 maze coins anyways, so you definitely want to be sure to pick up this monster. And then if you have enough maze coins, I'd recommend Faugnar. Don't know his final stats, but even if I did know the final stats for this monster, I think I'd still recommend him 4th. Just because aside from the fact that he looks absolutely amazing, I think in terms of design, this monster has the best one from all of the events. And I know it's weird because he's just fog, but I love this monster's design. But yeah, that's just my opinion. And lastly, it would be Postar, followed by Sludger, followed by Nvidia. I honestly don't really like Nvidia at all. And for those of you that actually want to partake in the breeding events, I'd honestly recommend that you get Postar first, even before Ophiuchus, just so you can start hatching them and make them usable for the breeding events. I'm still not entirely sure if I want to partake in the breeding events, because I usually have some very bad luck. I don't want to spend the gems, and keep in mind that if you do occupy your breeding tree and your breeding cave and your hatchery, then that's going to reduce the number of maze coins you can get during the duration of the events. So depending on whether or not you want to do the breeding events, that's when you have to decide whether you want to get Postar first or not. And with that being said, that is going to conclude this mini analysis on the Eldrich Abomination Maze Island, which in my opinion, my overall opinion, it's an amazing event. Go out there and get some amazing monsters. Good luck to everyone on your Monster Legends adventures, on this event, on this maze. Seriously, best of luck. If anyone needs help with anything, please make sure to let me know in the comments below. Make sure to reach out to the community, go on Discord, ask questions there. Seriously, don't be afraid to ask. With that being said, remember to dream big and pursue your passions.